Well, I'm nice to people who are nice to me. Well, then are you really nice, or are you just opportunistic? In other words, is niceness part of your actual personality, or is it a tool that you use in your life to get what you want out of people? Because if you're a nice person, you're just nice no matter what. It's like, what is it in your nature? Well, you're a human being. So that means you're a human being all the time. It isn't like, well, I'm human towards people who are human towards me. No, you're human no matter what. That's your nature. So if it's in your nature to be nice, then you would, generally speaking, be nice to everybody regardless of how they behave. Most of us, if we say, well, I give people what they deserve. Does anybody in here want what you deserve? I don't know about you, man, but I don't want what I deserve. I don't want justice, man. You don't see me out in the streets, cheering for justice. I'm cheering more for grace. I want better than what I deserve. Are you doing it because you want something out of people? Or are you kind because that's your nature? The truth is that the answer for most people is yes. We do it for both of those reasons. We do it because it makes us feel good, but we also don't want to feel like we're being taken advantage of. But then I would suggest to you that means that our personalities are unstable. We never know what we're going to be from minute to minute to minute to minute. And then that's one of the things that causes us to be so unstable in the world around us and to not know where we fit in, to not know who we are. And say that you can get something great out of life by building up the other lives that you create. To do something so they can be something better qualitatively, not in terms of money, but in terms of the quality of the life that's better. I don't know about you guys, man, but I look back at my parents and I just think, my God, they sacrificed way too much for me to be mediocre. Some people, their parents sacrifice so much, and for whatever reason, they insist on being mediocre. It would be a terrible thing to have to face them someday and I have to explain to my dad why I made nothing out of all of his sacrifices. Or I have to explain to my mom why I made nothing of all of her sacrifices. Just like that. You can even turn your head a little bit and go, are you though? And people say, well, yeah, well, what do you mean you're good? Well, I'm nice. And you can ask them again, are you though? Nice. Well, I'm nice to people who are nice to me. Well, then are you really nice, or are you just opportunistic? In other words, is niceness part of your actual personality, or is it a tool that you use in your life to get what you want out of people? Because if you're a nice person, you're just nice no matter what. It's like, what is it in your nature? Well, you're a human being. So that means you're a human being all the time. It isn't like, well, I'm human towards people who are human towards me. No, you're human no matter what. That's your nature. So if it's in your nature to be nice, then you would, generally speaking, be nice to everybody regardless of how they behave. Most of us, if we say, well, I give people what they deserve. Does anybody in here want what you deserve? Yeah, I don't know about you, man, but I don't want what I deserve. I don't want justice, man. You don't see me out in the streets, cheering for justice. I'm cheering more for grace. I want better than what I deserve. And most of us are like this. Because how many things do you have to, what do you call a person who steals? A thief. How many things do you have to steal before you're called a thief? You steal one thing, you're a thief. How many people do you have to murder before you're a murderer? Would we say, like 10? No, you murder one person, you're a murderer. You steal one thing, you're a thief. And it just compounds from there. And that's one of the problems, is that it almost becomes unstoppable. That's one of the things with drinking too much. It's not just drinking, it's the drinking too much. You go too far on it. And of course, you'll notice that the hardest thing in the world to do with most things, like exercise, is to start. But once you start, it can compound. And drinking is exactly the same way. Once you start one drink, or two drinks, it starts to erode away at your critical capacities. You can no longer self-assess. You feel fine. This is why I'll encounter people who will legitimately, with a straight face, tell me, I actually drive better when I'm drunk. Why do you think that? Because your judgment has been compromised by the alcohol. So you think you are, but you're not. Your judgment's been compromised. And so it's important for us to start to look at our lives in that way, not just in terms of alcohol, but in terms of the other things that compromise our judgment in the other areas of life. It's not just alcohol. What else are we doing in our lives? Like Peterson mentions, what are some of the things in our lives that we're doing that compromise the rest of our judgment in those things? How many things do you have to steal before you're a thief? One. So now I'm just a thief. So now I might as well just steal everything. No, that's that compounding thing. That's the going too far. You can always stop and no longer be what you once were. How many people do you have to murder before you murder? One. Does that mean that therefore you should go out and murder the whole world? No, of course not. Like any other mistake, but the problem is that we can now start to, compromise ourselves with it. Meaning that, well, I'm a thief, I'm a liar, I guess I'm all these terrible things, I guess now I'll just go be a terrible person. No, because what you were is not what you presently are, and what you presently are is not necessarily what you're going to be, but what you're going to be is a matter of choice and decision. And that's why we have to be careful about the things that take away our choice and our decision. Can you go wrong by being too good in your life? What happens if you're a person who's always kind? People will come along and say, well, then fold our arms and scratch our chins. Then people will take advantage of you. Well, that's on them, though, isn't it? Are you doing it because you want something out of people? Or are you kind because that's your nature? The truth is that the answer for most people is yes. We do it for both of those reasons. We do it because it makes us feel good, but we also don't want to feel like we're being taken advantage of. But then I would suggest to you that means that our personalities are unstable. We never know what we're going to be from minute to minute to minute to minute. And then that's one of the things that causes us to be so unstable in the world around us and to not know where we fit in, to not know who we are. That's why if I ask you, are you a good person? Yeah, most of the time. So then what are you the rest of the time? Unstable. We don't know what we are. If we don't have a set of principles and guideposts that lead us. And one of the central guideposts in your life that you can have is exactly that, a passion. Something towards which you can orient your whole life. And what are the things that you can orient your whole life towards? As you choose. What is it? I hope it's a good thing. I hope it's a good thing for you, and I hope it's a good thing for everybody around you as well. I mean, Stalin had a passion for genocide. Hopefully that isn't your passion. Hopefully you have a different passion than that. Hopefully it's a passion, again, that's good for you and good for everybody around. And not good in the sense that you think it benefits you, but good in the sense of virtue and goodness, to be actually good. And so, whatever it is that you choose, do it. Do it to the extreme. That's why it's important for your passion to be something good. What can it be? At this point, who knows? At 18, who knows? Hopefully as you get older, if you have children, hopefully you develop a passion for being a great husband or wife, to be a great mother or father. Hopefully it's not going to be like a divided thing where, I want to do this one thing, I'm going to spend, 20% of my time on whatever, and then 80% of my time on being a good spouse and parent. Because that's kind of an all-encompassing life thing right there if you choose to do that. And whatever it is that you put your passions into, you're going to become good at it because you're going to practice it. You're going to want to know more about it, so you'll be curious to learn about it, and you're going to practice it even more and get better at it. So just hopefully whatever it is that you choose to do, it's something, as I keep saying over and over again, hopefully it's something that's good. Is it, poetry? I don't know. Is poetry a good thing? I don't know. This guy's a really famous poet, and he died at 46 years old. Anybody guess how he died? He drank a lot. Like a lot. He drank his favorite drink was a thing called absinthe. Absinthe is you can't get it anymore. They sell like a type of absinthe now over in France. If you're ever interested, you can go ask Mr. Pelletier to tell you about absinthe, and he'll tell you his experiences with absinthe. But absinthe, when he was drinking it, was essentially like liquid acid. It would cause you to hallucinate. So it'd be like taking psychedelics. That was his favorite drink. And then he wrote poetry off of that. And we might think, wow, that's great. No family, nothing, complete drag on society, horrible person, destroyed so many relationships, not just his, but everybody around him. And then we look at him and we go, oh, but we have this book of poetry. Yeah, he's also dead at 46. And so in a certain sense, it's nice that he chose something that was passionate, but certainly the lifestyle itself was not good for him. And so what is it that you're passionate about? You got to find something, because if you don't have a passion in your life, you don't have a direction in your life. If you don't have a direction in your life, you don't have a meaning. You don't have a purpose. And I don't remember if it was this class, but one of my classes I was mentioning that, I'll leave it with this, that's why do people kill themselves? Why do people commit suicide? It's not because they're sad. I'll give you a heads up. It's not because you sit and go, I'm sad. It's because you lack a meaning orientation. It's because you don't think that, as sad as you are today, if you don't have a sense that things are going to get better, then you develop hopelessness. There's actually a word that he used for this. It's a French word. It's ennui, which is like a boredom that leads to hopelessness and desperation. When you feel hopeless and desperate, as bad as things are today on Thursday, they're going to be just as bad, if not worse, on Friday, and then on Saturday, and on Sunday. And this is why suicide is a disease of the young, because we lack perspective. Today stuff sucks, and it's probably going to suck tomorrow. It's probably going to suck the next day. As you get older, you can go through bad days and remember and go, I've been through bad days before. I can get through this. I can survive this. And then it's also a disease of the very wealthy, suicide, because people who be very wealthy sometimes, they lack meaning and they lack purpose. They have everything else. They have the means, but they have no meaning. And without meaning, you can look at yourself and feel like you're uniquely cursed. I have everything in life I could possibly want, and yet I'm still miserable. Why? There must be something just wrong with me. And if I already have everything, then that means things will never get better. So both of them lack a perspective. And so this is why it's so important to find a passion or a meaning, a purpose, something towards which you can devote yourself completely and entirely. And I would suggest to you that what you could accomplish if you committed yourself, I mean wholly towards something, it's going to be beyond what you're presently capable of imagining. I'm going to ask yourself this, but is there anything in your life that you've ever, I doubt very young, but is there anything in your life that you've completely directed yourself towards and poured yourself into, all your abilities? And if you haven't done that yet, then you have no idea what you're capable of, man. And sadly, a lot of people will go through life and never know what they're capable of. I hope that you find something like that and an outlet to pour yourself into. Questions? Comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Yeah, Rick. Yeah. Yeah. And we say that like it's a cliche. We have to live every day like it's the last. And you go, yeah, live every day like it's the last. Yeah, but if you did, 8 billion years, 5 billion years that it's been here, there's always been a tomorrow. And if tomorrow doesn't come, then today really didn't matter anyway. And so living life to the fullest, hopefully, is going to mean doing something that makes it all worthwhile. Because I've probably already told you this, but we're a whole week into school. I must have mentioned this at least 10 times by now, that life is suffering. And we don't get to choose not to suffer. But we can choose what we suffer for. That's freedom. In other words, finding something that makes the suffering of life, the weight of existence, actually manageable. Finding something that makes it all worthwhile. And many of you have, the reason that the job thing always strikes out to me is because many of us, I'll talk about my own dad. My dad, when I was growing up, my dad worked at McDonald's, and my mom was disabled. So we were single income, living on a McDonald's salary. And so, as you can imagine, no trust fund for this guy, no wealth for this guy. And yet my dad would go to work every day, working a job that paid him too little, that overstressed him, and yet somehow he managed to wake up every single day and go through that existence. And we sit there and go, you may think my dad probably sat there and said, all right, gonna go make some fries today. In fact, he developed type 2 diabetes in his life because he worked at McDonald's his whole life. That's what he always ate. He's a manager, so he's working all the shifts. Didn't have time to go out and get something to eat, so he just ate McDonald's every day. He developed type 2 diabetes. The job literally killed him. And yet, why did he do it every day? Because of this guy. So that I could stand in front of you right now, so that I could have a better life than the one that he had. He found something that helped him to transcend the suffering of life, which is to pour yourself entirely into somebody else and say that you can get something great out of life by building up the other lives that you create. To do something so they can be something better qualitatively, not in terms of money, but in terms of the quality of the life that's better. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, man, but I look back at my parents and I just think, my God, they sacrificed way too much for me to be mediocre. And some people, their parents sacrifice so much, and for whatever reason, they insist on being mediocre or being less than what their parents have poured into them. Man, there's just no way. Wouldn't it be terrible, man, to die and I've lost, well, I didn't lose both my parents. That would just be irresponsible. Both my parents are dead. But it'd be a terrible thing to have to face them someday and have to explain to my dad why I made nothing out of all of his sacrifices. Or I have to explain to my mom why I made nothing of all of her sacrifices. Or worse yet, every day to have to look myself in the mirror and ask myself, so what are you going to tell your dad if you ever meet him? I have to explain why you wasted the sacrifices. So, but don't think too much about that. That only motivates you if you think too much about it. Otherwise, we can ignore it until the end, when all those things have a way of popping up and facing us. So, good point. Good. Others? No? Dope. Okay.